Hi, welcome to In a Pickle Knitting. My name is Donna and this is Vlogtober number 19. Today's October 19th, 2018. I'm coming to you from Manassas, Virginia, and this is a short vlog with the children's literature book for the season and a little craft at the end. Today's book is one that I like to read aloud to kids. Excuse my rainbow. I have something in the window that puts rainbows in the room in the afternoon. This is called Room on the Broom, written by Julia Donaldson, and it is entirely written in verse. It's one of those stories that starts with one thing happening and then the same sort of thing happens over and over again. And in this case, she keeps having problems from her hat flying off as she's being blown off, her bow being blown off, she drops her wand, and then the broom gets broken, and I think something else too. And each time they're unable to find what has been missing, and a little animal comes along and helps and asks to ride on the broom, and she's nice and tells them of course they can ride, and they then are able to save her when she's caught by a fire-breathing dragon, and then they find a way, and she makes a new broom that's wonderful for everybody. So let me just read you a little bit of, well, what I like so much about it is, in addition to the verse, is that the vocabulary is really rich. They've chosen to use some words that would enrich a child's vocabulary. And when you read to children using vocabulary in context, they pick up on that vocabulary fairly easily. Not that you can't stop and tell them what the words mean, and perhaps that's good for a second reading to stop on some of the words and see if they know, but it just has very rich vocabulary, and I will see if I can find, I think it's a little farther on in particular. I like, well, actually I just like them all. Then all of a sudden, from out of the pond leaped a dripping wet frog with a dripping wet wand. He dropped it politely, then said with a croak, as the witch dried the wand on a fold of her cloak, "I'm a frog, as clean as can be. Is there room on the broom for a frog like me?" "Yes," said the witch, so the frog bounded on. So a lot of the verbs in the story are just, you know, they could have just said hopped on, but bounded on. So they just used, he dropped it politely, and he's dripping wet. Just the adjectives and adverbs used in the story, I think, are more interesting than usual, and that's what I particularly like about this book, Room on the Broom. So today's craft is, I'm going to show you how I make stitch markers and some progress keepers, and I also want to offer then a set to one of our listeners. So the set that I'm offering, and I'll have a better picture beginning, end, or right here, but it's a little squirrel is the progress keeper, and then 4 stitch markers that are the little acorns with the brown bead. And this is the sample set in the video that you'll see of me making them. If you would be interested in having the set of stitch markers and progress keeper, if you will comment below, and just tell me anything. It doesn't matter. Just whatever you say will be your entry. And YouTube comment maker, if we reply back and forth, it doesn't impact who is drawn, because it picks unique followers and unique responders. So if you respond 5 times, you're still just one unique follower or responder. So if you'd like to receive these, then comment below, and here is the short clip on how I make my stitch markers and progress keepers. Thanks for stopping today. Bye-bye. Today I'd like to show you how I make my stitch markers, and I am also going to make a progress keeper. So this little set has a squirrel progress keeper and 4 little acorn stitch markers. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And to make the same kind of a set, you'll need a lobster clasp for the progress keeper and a small jump ring, your charm, and a seed bead. And then for each of the stitch markers, you'll need a jump ring, a seed bead, and a charm. Actually, you can make the stitch markers with just the seed bead if you want. I actually like using those kind that just have the little bead on them, but I'm going to add a charm today to them. And I've used, I think, a 10mm jump ring. You can use smaller ones. This one would accommodate larger needle sizes. I typically don't need them quite that large, but I don't know what other people need. So the other things that you use is some cement. This is GS Hypo Cement, and it's good for jewelry and beading, it says. And we're going to use that to keep our seed bead in place. And we want the seed bead to be right where the jump ring opens, and that will prevent snags while you're knitting. And then I also have 2 pairs of these needle nose pliers, and you use to get the jump ring open. So let's get started. We will start with just a stitch marker. So the jump ring has its opening, and I'm going to hold my needle nose pliers on one side of that opening and put the other pair on the other side, and I'm going to hold my left hand still and push my right hand away from me. So I'm not opening the ring apart. I'm doing this way so it can just be brought back into the same position. See if I can get there. You can see the opening, I hope. And right there, while that's open, we're going to put a seed bead on, and also our charm. And with them on, I'm going to take the needle nose pliers back and pull forward on the one that I pushed back. Now there is still a little opening, and we will close that up with, cover it up with the seed bead in a minute. So you would do the other stitch markers the same way. So the progress keeper is only slightly different. I do have a small jump ring here. I had one, sorry, flew away. So we're going to open it up the same way we did. The problem with this is it's going to be crowded, because it's a smaller opening with the ring, and we have more to put on it. So we've got first to put our lobster clasp. And man, I don't know if this is true for all of them, but always test that first, because I have put several on before only to have them not actually be good at opening and closing. So test it first. And then we'll get our stitch marker on. So you can see that's getting pretty crowded. So it's a little bit harder to get your needle nose pliers right back in place. Okay, almost. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to finish up the other 3, and then I'll show you what to do to finish up. I thought as we're finishing up, I would show you one more, just in case the photography is better. Okay, so I'm going to pulling that one forward. Put the seed bead on. I've never tried that with the pliers before, but maybe that's why I've never done it that way. Okay, put my bead on and my charm on. And push forward so they're back together. Now we're going to use this cement. Now this cement comes out really easily once you've opened it. It has a long needle that goes in to keep it flowing. But I always have paper towels handy, so you can even wipe it off if too much starts to come out. So it just pulls off, and then I don't know if this needle's visible to you, but that slides back down there. And already a little bead of glue is coming off. So I'm going to find that spot where I'm going to get some of that off there. The spot where the jump ring comes together is where you want that little dot of glue. And hold on, I'm going to move something around there. There we go. Right where it opens, and then slide the seed bead over that spot and sit it down to dry. So you might be able to see better on here. Here's where the opening is. Right there is a little opening. We want our little dot of glue. Slide the seed bead over it and sit it down to dry. And you see why you want to do the gluing all at once, because this glue just keeps coming out fast. And 2 more. And 1 more. And there we go. Some stitch markers and a progress keeper in a fall theme. So if you've always wanted to make some stitch markers, I hope you'll go out and give it a try. You might watch some other tutorials with people who are maybe better at jewelry making than am I. But have fun.